everybody. Good to see you all. Day 25. Cool. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to continue to loosely explore the sort of the symbolic meaning of the Om, right? The three swoops, Sushupti, unconsciousness, Jagrat, waking consciousness, and then Swapna, dream consciousness. That top dash, or that top swoop is Maya. All of it is illusory, meaning all of it's changing, all of it's not as real as you think it is. And then the uppermost dash, almost like the asterisk, represents Turiyam. I would say of all five of these elements, Turiyam means four. So Turiyam, the fourth element of consciousness, the fourth mode of mind, is the most important idea to sort of memorize. And that's because what it suggests is wherever you find yourself in waking consciousness, which is sort of the most common, in unconsciousness, which is, very unlikely you will find yourself in unconsciousness, and then in dream consciousness, very difficult to find yourself in dream consciousness unless you're a lucid dreamer. But the concept remains powerful that whatever mode of consciousness you find yourself within, there is a secret mode, a hyper-awareness, and that hyper-awareness is a distinct quality or sort of mind. And the goal of meditation, especially when you're literally in your practice, is to, one, recognize that space, which I would say is the brunt of the work that we're doing. That state is always there. It's a candle's flame that never moves, never adjusts, never turns off, never grows brighter, never grows dimmer. It's always there, but we're just sort of always paying attention to everything else. A big part of this process is learning to recognize it and then learning to sort of stabilize ourselves into it. So Turiyam, the fourth level of consciousness. Cool, so we're going to loosely talk about that, and again, we're going to apply the same strategy. You're just going to chant the Om for about 20 minutes, and at the very end, because you've adjusted your body's physiology in multiple ways, when you're sitting there, your mind, simply said, is more relaxed, and because it's more relaxed, it is more capable of understanding abstract concepts and more willing to absorb them. I gave a couple analogies in the newsletter. It's like a relaxed body is a relaxed mind. A relaxed mind is a strong mind, meaning a mind that's willing to think about these big, crazy ideas. If you're in the middle of a fire, in the middle of an earthquake, and you stop, someone, and you're like, hey, let me talk about the nature of your mind. There's no part of their body that's going to stop and activate their cortex to think in these abstract ways. They have real problems to deal with. They have to get out of the burning building. They have to find safety because the earth is shaking underneath them. And so us and a lot of people, we underestimate the intensity of stress that we carry in our tissues. And for that reason, it's very hard for a lot of people to just be still for 30 minutes. They think stillness itself is the challenge, but it's really stress. It's an overactive sympathetic signal or an overactive pingala nadi, an overactive solar channel. And this is because the nature of the world and the nature of our lives. And so when we sit down, numb to our stress, our minds are essentially closed. And so the question is, how do I open my mind, or open my mind so that I can process these concepts? And the way we open that mind is through breathing and through chanting. Chanting is one strategy. The stillness, I'm sure I've said this many times before, allows us to feel the stress we have. If stillness is a problem, even if it's for 30, 40, 50 minutes, if stillness is a problem, it's because there is stress that needs to be sort of released from the tissues. And so it's just an interesting way of understanding the value and worth of each of these techniques. What I wanted to talk about today is just to sort of, juxtapose this conversation of learning and how the yogis sort of perceive this. As we all get older, we all get wiser. And that's sort of an innate process of existing and surviving and overcoming the challenges that are threaded into every day. And so it's very hard, the master yogis, they're sages, but they're often very old, 60, 50, 70, 80 years old. And so it's hard to separate. Are they this wise because they practiced yoga, or are they this wise because they've just lived mindfully and acquired wisdom and learned what life was, sort of intuitively in this sort of natural flow? And the reality is both. But yoga takes the time to leverage all sort of innate responses. We all have moments of mindfulness. We all have a relationship to dreams. We all have a relationship to waking consciousness. They leverage these natural experiences to push them into exceptional moments of presence. And so the study of the mind, right? The study of singing. We all sing in the shower, right? We have essentially done this before. But while we are practicing, we are aiming to be hyper specific, hyper organized, hyper focused on these nuances to extract a uniquely potent consequence. Cool? And so, on one hand, very, very simple. We're just sitting down singing. On the other hand, very refined, very exceptional. From singing, there is something happens to ourselves. When we layer that with these philosophies, our worldview changes. Cool. So let's get into this. Chanting the Om, what I'd like you to pay attention to today is as you pronounce the Om, just pay attention to your mouth, right? So the O to the U to the just think about a camera's lens closing, right? An open iris seamlessly sort of tightening into a closed iris. The more concerned you are with the shape and transitioning of your actual mouth and jaw, the more fluid and smooth the actual sound you create. And in that concept of perfection I was sort of speaking to yesterday, it will pull you into a deeper experience of mindfulness, which is always good. So pay attention to the mechanics of your jaw and your mouth and really shape it with as much precision as you can. The ah really open or the ol really open, seamlessly and smoothly closing into the u and then collapsing perfectly and in balance into the I think that'll really help our actual technique. Cool. Good to see you all on a Christmas day. Very committed. Awesome. Strong seated position. Wrists on knees, nice straight arms, hips tilt forward, tall spine. And so yoga uses natural experiences, very normal phenomenon, leverages them, exaggerates them, refines them to create extraordinary consequences. And what that tells us is that within the ordinary, there is an exceptional degree of potential. That nestled inside every moment, there are pearls of wisdom. Inside a breath, there is wisdom. Inside the way we look out into the world, there is wisdom. Inside the act of singing or vocalizing, there is wisdom. So just take a second to consider that. The clothes you wear hold wisdom. The walls that surround you hold wisdom. And so the breath of peace. Breathe into the stomach. Breathe into the chest. The second you hit the collarbone region, stop, prolong the exhale. If you haven't already, mudras, random finger to each thumb. And so the tendency of all these layers of the mind, Jagrat, Sushupti, and Swapna, the tendency is that it pulls the witness out of themselves and into the world the witness exists within. Pulled into the dream, pulled into the real world, then so pulled into the unconscious state, so pulled into that darkness that the witness forgets it exists. And so it takes great strength, great skill, and great sensitivity to withdraw our attention into ourselves. And so yogis believe that the world is laced with meaning and wisdom. But that wisdom is ubiquitous across all things. All things reflect into the witness itself. The same way a lake reflects your face back into your eyes. And so let's think of Turiyam. Turiyam. Turiyam, the fourth level of consciousness. Hidden within the waking state, hidden within unconsciousness, and hidden within dreams. The beholder, Bhairav. So direct your consciousness, direct Turiyam into your body. Feel it intensely. No thoughts, just feeling. Just take 3 breaths, and in those 3 breaths, provoke peace by renouncing the mind and enjoying the innate experience of your body as it is. After that 3rd breath, hands to heart center. And so with our hands at heart center, all life moves forward. All life evolves into a greater expression of itself. This is the faith of yogis. Whether we meditate or not, whether we study the mind or not, whether we discover Turiyam or Bhairav, whether we understand what the nadas are or the meaning of the Om or not, we collect wisdom along the way. But by sitting down and detailing our understanding of ourselves and the world through yoga or any other philosophy, but to sit and contemplate existence exacerbates that process of learning. Yogis believe there is a finish line, there is a summit to the mountain. And that finish line, that summit, is the deep self. So come the Bhumi Sparsha Mudra, purely symbolic. But feel it, the left hand is prajna, wisdom. There is something intangible, something invisible, something beyond the senses that holds supreme value. And it exists within me. Once the yogi discovers it within themselves, they can easily sense it in everything else. It is the emptiness of spirit. And if you can sense what that means in a personal way, appreciate it, because not everyone can. It is a complicated and abstract idea. Right hand touching the earth or directing towards the earth represents reality, specifically the trick of the Buddha. Life is beholding our progress. The consciousness within the world is witnessing its own growth through us. Fear, as it always does, attempted to trick the Buddha and pull the Buddha out of his intention just before he reached the summit. And the Buddha said no. I will not be swayed by doubt, by impatience, by confusion, by lust. The earth is my witness. The earth is pulling me along the path. Everything holds wisdom. Now, before we can understand completely these ideas of Jagrat, Sushupti, Swapna, Maya, Turiyam, the Om itself, we have to relax our physical bodies, to relax our physical brains. Once the brain is relaxed, neurologically, it is more capable and willing to understand and think of these huge and expansive concepts. So there's a physical process. And so that means the vast majority of our practice is physical. Perfect inhales, perfect ohms. Pay attention to the way your jaw opens. Pay attention to the way your lips close and the movement of your tongue. Think of symmetry. Think of craftsmanship. Shunyata Drishti, wake up into your process. So the goal is to feel, to relax the body through the vibration of singing. Take a deep breath in. Alrighty, chant your Om, O-U-M, Om. While you're chanting, listen to me in the background. Notice the mind, notice Jagrat. One, it believes this is real. It believes this is the fundamental experience. This is the true identity. This is your body. This is your day. And within that, there are subtle impulses of reaching and rejecting experience. Where is this taking me? Am I doing it right? I feel good about this. I feel insecure about this. What am I going to do later? What time is it? Negate the mind and feel. And appreciate the process at large before the mind itself can open, so that the enormous ideas of yoga and the Om specifically can land. We have to change the body. We have to design the temple. As you breathe in, notice wakefulness. And so you are igniting the fire of the sympathetic nervous system every time you inhale. And as you exhale and chant the Om, notice that relaxation, the tranquility and pleasure of that vibration of Nad. Appreciate that this is a preliminary step before wisdom can be extracted or attained. Again, the body must be adjusted. Pay attention to your mouth and your jaw. Feel the way your lips close from the O to the U to the Spend equal time in each syllable. And feel the vibration rise from Hridayasya, from the center of the chest, up into the skull. The more you feel, the more pleasure you'll find, the more you'll relax, the more open the mind. Let my voice support your process. Focus more on the act of chanting and feel more. And as you feel the resonance in your body, think nadas, vibration. Everything is vibration. And in that, this sensation in my body is more real, is more substantially true than the image of things, than trees and birds and blades of grass and flowers and waves and rain and fire. And so the world, in terms of sensation and expression, is reduced. It's all vibration. In that the veils of the waking mind, the veils of Jagrat, are thinned and become more transparent, and it becomes easier to sense yourself inside the moment, inside these layers of vibratory experience. Attempt to feel this slow drift into your own witnessing. And as you feel that slow drift into witnessing while chanting the mantra, appreciate, consider, this is truth, at least to yogis. This is their ancient truth. One more Om. Prolong the exhale. Prolong the chant. And once you stop singing the Om, immediately feel the vibration in the body, the paranad. No mental chanting. And identify that as the Om. Self-regenerating. And as you sit there and feel this self-regenerating vibration in your body, as you identify that as the Om, it is only you and that totality. You and the driving force of material existence. Atman, the innermost self, and Brahman, the prime mover of the world. At that point, there is nothing to do but behold. That is the finish line. And so it's this sincere moment. Spiritual, psychological, almost psychedelic, but it feels real. And when we occupy this state, a relaxed body, a focused mind that isn't thinking about X, Y, or Z, specifically our social relationships, this is neurological. When we create this condition for ourselves and lace that with the philosophies of practitioners that studied these spaces, we create this moment. Slow down the breath. And the moment is beautiful. And the moment is satisfying. And the moment is complete. And the moment feels somehow even more real. Turiyam, the fourth layer of consciousness. The most real. And when you open your eyes, Jagrat, waking consciousness, will cover this state of mind. And when you go to sleep, unconsciousness will cover this state of mind. And if you have a dream, the dream will cover this state of mind. But this is the wisdom nestled inside everything. And this is the wisdom that generates that innate and inescapable growth that we all experience through our lives. This wisdom is Bhairav, beyond vibration. This wisdom is Atman, the soul. And so bring your hands to heart center. It's just miraculous to discover the experience for ourselves and to open up the scriptures of yoga and to read the poetry of Zen monks and to state for yourself, I understand. Whether it's completely true, whether it is actually the most important thing, that's debatable. But to give ourselves this ancient gift, totally enriching. So a moment with yourself and the world, acknowledging Turiyam. You're more than awake, far outside of dreams, and far away from unconsciousness. Thumb knuckles to third eye center. Surrounded and embedded in the vibratory experience of the Om. In a universe made of beginnings and ends. A universe driven forward through life, through change. Evolving into higher, more creative, and more complicated expressions of itself. Inside each of us, a little island of completeness. One more inhale. With an exhale, release your wrist, posture 1, straight spine. Another successful journey to the summit. With an inhale, mindfully open your eyes and just feel it all wash away. It happens so quickly. But in that instant, Jagrat, the second mode of consciousness, wipes out Turiyam.